All right, guys, quick one for you this morning as I got a little bit of a time crunch going on, but I will tell you that the technicals just don't quit. Wait until you see the Qs. Wait until you see RZLV AI PLC, also Bigbear.ai and NVTS. We'll talk about what's going on each of those charts in this video and more. So guys, you know, come on over and join me and the other panel experts over at the Discord, and maybe even my cat who keeps on meowing throughout my entire video. In any case, check out the Qs. On the hourly chart that we look here, you can see what we had yesterday. I talked about hitting 602.75, and the pre-market is also butting up against it. If we can sit on top of it, this should be a nice green day for us as we have the bulls putting pressure on the bears to give that ground to let us have the 602.75. North of that, we have resistance at 605.36 and then 609.76. So pushing us up, we might have another percent to go or so. Hopefully to close out September, maybe even more, making it a real September to remember. We do really have to watch this line. This is a very important line at 602.75. Failure to break that could set us back and give us a decent amount of red. So we just want to watch that, and we want to keep our eyes on it. We could even trade sideways and like bump up against it a few times, especially given the labor market reports of next week. I'm going to keep on reminding people about the importance of those reports. Matter of fact, the market is probably going to give back a little bit leading up to them, kind of do a little bit of hedging, if you will, that it's ready to move in either direction. So be prepared for that. So that'll kick things off. We actually have Friday of this week. I keep on failing to mention. I should have mentioned that for you, PCE. I know I've mentioned it in my other videos, but I want to put the emphasis there. More emphasis, even more emphasis than that inflation report are the labor market reports, though, that come up next week. So let's put this back up here for you. 602.75. We need that number to break. You can see so far we just keep on getting rejected off of it. I said that was probably where we're going to start finding the top. So far, we're finding that, but sitting up on top of it should give us some decent green if we can get there. Over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I said yesterday, I'm not ready to go short on Bitcoin yet, although I will tell you a few things about what I see is that the 5's crossed down over the 13. That's some very near-term bullish bearishness, that the RSI is down below 50. Also very, very near-term bearishness. These long wicks, this buying pressure that we're getting off the bottom here, not so bad, but we do need to get back up above the 50. If these yellow and green moving averages cross down over the red, that can signal longer term bearishness. We want to watch for that. Right now I'm watching to see if we get that rejection off of the 50, sends us back further south. If we don't get that, if instead we sit on top of these moving averages, break up above them, especially if we get volume support coming out of it. Yesterday you can see it was a decent volume day compared to the previous days, up above this blue moving average that we have here. So that sell-off, pretty substantial. Talk of deleveraging, and that's probably likely what has happened, especially in light of the big news that we have coming up. Like I said, with inflation, with our personal income and outlays coming out this Friday, and then the labor market reports of next week, people could also be looking to lock in some solid Q3 numbers and then jank us around a little bit before we look and see how Q4 is going to shape up for us. I'm pretty darn excited about Q4 of this year. I want to watch for a move above the moving averages, solidly above. That could give us a nice opportunity. If we get a candle that looks like this by end of day, because this is still a developing candle for us, but if it does look like this, what we'd be looking for is a trade that happens to be north of about 113.5. But even so, we got to watch those moving averages to the north. I wouldn't be confident in taking a long trade because of just smacking our heads off of all those EMAs that are up above that. It'd be much more comfortable to see us break above and retest them as support before going long. If we retest resistance and get rejected, to me, that might lead to a short-term opportunity. Now for bigbear.ai, check this out. This is actually kind of exciting. We're starting to get a little bit of a top. You might be able to see a little bit of a shelf right across the top of this. And we also have this bullishness that keeps on pushing the bottom up, that we're getting higher lows and we're getting stymied right across these low numbers here, or I should say the low 7s that are in here, that if we can break up above that 720 number, that could give us that new move further to the north from where we're at right now. And there are significant amount of resistance. You can see the resistance lines I have on here. I'll slap a quick rectangle on there for you so you can see it a little bit more clearly. And if it's green, we'll turn it red. There we go. So green is usually what I use for support, and then red is what I usually use for resistance. So there, we'll turn that red, and we'll turn this red. That's where we're hitting our heads right now. For bigbear.ai, that's the line that the bears are currently holding for us. North of 735 is really where we unlock things that take us up to about 785. That is very solid resistance right now. We'll see if the bulls have enough momentum to push us up over it. NVTS has more of a steady structure going, that you can see that slow, steady march to the north on this thing. and we want to see that continued break to the north side of this, currently sitting right around $7.15. And you can see the last time that we had a small structure, then the structural breakout taking place, and now we've had sort of this look right here of about a bull channel coming up across this for a trend line, across that for a trend line, and we'll see if we can keep on making that march happening. And what we have, once again, a lot like what we saw for bigbear.ai, is that from 733 up to 748 is currently where we find ourselves, finding that area of resistance once again to the north. 733, what a bugger it turns out to be. So we'll draw that across there, and you can see the candles butting up against that. There we go, with some of those high wicks that we have. Matter of fact, that peak right at 733. Check out Resolve, by the way. There we go. Look at what we got going on. So right now we have this slow trailing off, if you will, that little bit of a dip down. We don't see that structural break to the north. If we get north of 671, that's where we can start to really put that pressure in back to the north side of this. On the hourly chart, we're down below the 50 EMA. So a breakup above that and retesting it as support could be some of the confirmation that we're looking for. Going out to the daily chart for Resolve AI. What does yesterday's candle look like? Look at that long wick we got where it closed up above the 13. We want to see ourselves push back up above the 5. And I would like to see this thing north of 685 before trying to take a position on it, since I didn't catch what we had down here where I said this is the area down in the south where you can see the prices that I have on here, 545 and 563. So that 18-cent window, we only had about a 2-minute gap to take advantage of that. So the minute that it dropped down into this zone, and then in the next minute, it was back out of it, back up to about 620 or so. And so we want to see that push north to 671. If we can get it, we might find ourselves back towards that $8 mark and possibly beyond. This was a really nice reset, a really nice give back. Now let's see if we can push it even further. So on a daily basis, at 65.62 for the RSI. On a weekly basis, we're overbought at 75. And when we look on a monthly basis, we are just crossing over 5160. And I want to just bring out for you, let me take down all those technicals and really stress for you the change in volume structure that we've seen recently up until this month, being its second biggest trading month's volume in the history of the stock. The only time that we got more trading volume was back in December of 24. So almost a year later, I guess 9 months later, we find ourselves with still, let me see, today's the 23rd. We still have 7 days, and today is Tuesday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, we still have 6 trading days left to go to see that push up through. So is that right? Yeah, that is right. 6 trading days. Wow. That's pretty impressive, I guess, because it counts today. So other things that we see besides that volume structure, which is perfect, that cross between the 5-month and the 13-month. Right now, we're about 23 cents off from having the two of those cross. If we look on a weekly basis, you can really see that high wick that we get with that big support that we got off of that 5 EMA. That selling pressure could be a bit to overcome, but this is just the first move on a weekly basis. And now we might start to see that second move that pushes this thing farther to the north. And maybe we start to reclaim some of these prices that used to be up around north at $10. So maybe this goes back to being a 2-digit stock from where it's at right now. It might take several weeks to play out. Q4 could be very exciting for Resolve. And besides technical analysis, in order for me to know more, I would have to do some fundamental analysis as well. And it seems as though there's a big enough following that people are interested enough. And you can see that with what we see for the volume, that it's interesting enough. Something big is going on here. I would like to know what that big thing is to see if there's any sort of investment that belongs with Resolve AI PLC, or if it's just one of those very hyped up stocks that we have. If you guys know that stuff, you can let me know down in the description of this video. What are you excited about for any of these companies? bigbear.ai, Navitas Semiconductor, and then Resolve PLC. What about Bitcoin? Is the crypto market going to rebound from here? Is this just the low that we're seeing before that Q4 rocket ship, or are we going to see a little bit more settling in the near term? What about the NASDAQ 100, QQQ? Is that one that's going to reject off that 602.75, and then we have to find where that next bottom is? Or are we going to get labor market reports and inflation reports that are going to allow us to continue that rocket ship ride to the north, try out 610, or even beyond that? I would love to hear from you. Hit me up down in the comments. Talk to me over at the Discord, code word doctor when you sign up for that. Make sure you use the earner tier so you can see my expert panel channel that I have over there, and then also the other expert panelists is there as well that are over there. We're there to support you in your journey towards financial freedom and building alpha in your portfolio. And if you want to learn to do technicals like I do, there's coursework for that through Stockmo Academy. Links in the description. Also, you can learn how to trade options as well. Bundling those courses together is going to get you a bundle discount. Code word doctor is going to save you $400 when you sign up for those courses. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you next video.